bit. Keep struggling to see where that counter is going. There it is. It should be streaming now. Good morning, everybody. It's 11 a.m. in California. I guess who has his audio on? Me. I guess that was just me. Oh, no, that was Jeff too. Jeff's in Zoom. He's got his mouth zipped closed until I am ready for that. So today, October 1st, 2022, 11 a.m., 11:01 a.m. actually. And what I got today is I'm hoping some topics will come up either from Zoom session or from chat. And I don't care if we don't get to any of the topics that I have in the description of this video, but to go ahead and hit you up with those topics in case you're not already aware. The first one, any support requests or subjects from the audience with remote connection. Number 2, my experiences with LastPass and RoboForm. Number 3, exploring inside a rack mount server. Ooh, I forgot to bring that up on the desk. 4, demonstration of a spinning drive responding faster than NVMe on the Big Beast build. And why is that happening? I can actually demonstrate that to you. Update on Framework laptop. Follow-up questions on Windows Daily episodes. Review of Macrium Reflect full differential and incremental backup files after they've been running for weeks. In the past that we did configuration for full differential and incremental. Well, now that's been running for a while. So we can go see what that looks like after that's been running for a while, if you're interested. Macrium Reflect file and folder backup. Is it useful or useless? I went poking around in that area yesterday, and I thought it was going to be really something, and I'm not sure. So I could show you around on that and see what you guys think. Fix RoboForm on BBB. Big Beast build. RoboForm is kind of broken. And if you're interested in that subject, then I'll tell you details about it when we get there. And then Stream Deck offered me an update this morning as I was preparing for this live stream. And there's something I like about that, and there's something I don't like about that. So we could talk about that. Now, let me point out something else. In the chat room, the first thing I see is at 8:42, Ken Stout live. Golfing got canceled, so I'll be around there around 11:15 Doug's time. There were some other chat messages prior to that in the YouTube studio. Those prior messages don't show up. Tony Wallow did a super chat, thank you Tony, of $1.99. But look at it, it doesn't show it here. And if I go into viewer activity, it tells me here, no new super chats or members yet. Really? YouTube, what's up with that? Now, the only reason I knew about that is because I had set up this broadcast on my kitchen laptop a couple hours ago, and once in a while I would take a look at it. And so I saw Tony's super chat. I had not been interacting with chat. I must have been going back and forth past it, doing other things. So that's a weird one. But one of the things that Ken said is he said he voted for. I got a kick out of this. He voted for topic number 2. My experience with LastPass and RoboForm to be first. But then he says he's not going to be here till 15 minutes after the show starts. So I'm figuring what he means to let me know is that he wants to be sure we're done with that before he comes, because he's not interested in that topic. So should we get that topic out of the way before he's here? Oh. I caught a little bit of it, so I'm not sure if I'm fully caught up on it, but I did catch a little bit. I mean, we'll defer that till he's here, because I know it means he wants to talk about it. So I've got you guys on screen now. Good morning, Jeff and Alex and Jim. Good to see you. Do you guys have anything to start out with, or vote for a topic, or anything to bring up? All right. Does this happen when you click on a link from the YouTube chat, live stream chat? Because you said it happens when you click on a link. So I thought I heard you say that it happens when you click on a link, but maybe I misunderstood that, or that wasn't very specific. Okay. Okay, so you're clicking on the suggestions that YouTube is displaying for you? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Do you have a YouTube, what's it called, Red account? Were you paying? You don't. So you have the free account. So do you normally see advertisements if you don't have an ad blocker? Yeah, it sounds highly likely it could be the ad blocker. So to test it, can you turn it off for a while? All right, hang on a second. Oops. Oh, I'm seeing a bunch of stuff in chat that they can't hear you. I didn't test audio for
YouTube.
Okay. Did I just fix it? Let's find out if I just fixed it.
Hello? Hear me now?
So looking in chat, and I'll bet you Tony. Oh, see, a few people texted me. Now it's okay.
All right.
I didn't know if you were talking to yourself or one of the other Dougs.
Yeah,
No,
until I brought the
Jess.
Zoom on screen. I guess none of you noticed that it wasn't coming through. Okay. So what did they not hear?
Probably that I'm dropping YouTube sometimes when I click on something else. And sometimes I get a message saying I don't have internet when I clearly still do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to repair it, I just close YouTube completely, log out of Google completely, and then start over again.
All right. So Zavi is saying start from the beginning. Okay. Good morning. It's October 1st, 2022. No, I'm not going to do that. Just a joke. So
well,
yeah,
I can run without any ad block at all. I haven't really
Yeah.
tried that very long. I've switched ad blockers twice now.
And you said you recently switched ad blockers. Was this symptom existing before that switch?
Yes.
Ah.
Yeah, I had one I've been running for several months.
Yeah.
So then I got rid of it, switched to another one, and I thought it was fixed. I went like for a week with nothing happening, and all of a sudden it started in again. And
Okay.
I've switched yet again, and it's still doing it on the third one. So
Have
I
you
can just stop the ad blocking completely.
All right. So have you done this? YouTube not connected to internet message when I am. Why does YouTube say no connection when I have internet? The reason for YouTube's no connection, most likely your internet connection. In most cases, just refreshing pages. Other cases, not enough. Mobile device uses one internet connection at a time. Yeah, I don't think that's likely. Are you connected by Wi-Fi?
Well, yes, indirectly. I have a mesh router system from my internet provider.
Yeah.
I have a modem and a router downstairs, and I'm up in my office it comes to another router up here, and then I'm plugged into that router by wired connection. So there is a part of
okay. There's a Wi-Fi involved, but your computer has a physical Ethernet to a router.
Yes.
That router is connected through Wi-Fi. Got it. I think that's the easy first thing is just turn off your ad blockers completely. Maybe even if you turn it off and it doesn't solve the problem, I'd still say, well, you still have it installed. So really uninstall it and see if you're.
I'll try that. I haven't
stable.
experimented with that very long. So
Yeah. I think that would be the most sensible thing to do. The Google search for it is a little bit awkward to really specify very clearly your circumstance.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah. So let's see. Hello, Jose. Amen.
Greetings.
All right. So I was just about to go check in with chat when I realized chat was saying a whole bunch of that they couldn't hear. So let me go catch up there. And Rick Lakes comes in with $5. Thank you, Rick. Now we can go up to the top. I had not interacted at all with chat. So hello, Boss, Ken Stout, Tony Wallow, Arnold Albert. Let's see, Jonathan. There's Jeff and Jim. Ran Israel, hello. Good to see you all. CFWW, Dave Hall. And Long Dog. Darren Gale home. Selden Ball. Hoping I'm not skipping over someone thinking I've already read their name. I don't think so. There's some laughs in there. I'll bet that had to do with dealing with that subject that Ken didn't want to hear about. Long Dog, actually, I think that's a relevant subject with Ken right now, but it also upsets him, and it should, because apparently some real situation happened with LastPass that I'm not clear on. So that could be a reason why Ken was saying, do that 15 minutes after. Well, I won't be there yet. Go ahead and cover it. I'll watch it later because it upsets me. No. Can't hear Zoom. He could use DVR mode. And all this can't hear stuff. And then let's wait for Ken and see if he wants to discuss the issue as he had. We will wait for him. LastPass and Alex is suggesting that RoboForm, there's a reason why I don't use it. If I did, must have been a long, long time ago. Awkward silence. Oh, that awkward silence is when Jeff was talking and I was just listening. You weren't hearing anything. There with the name, sound go out. Lip read. I verified my voice coming over, and I neglected to verify Zoom was coming over. Not hearing Mr. Las Vegas, and I really need my. I've got the people who send me text messages. They're set as VIP on my phone, which means it's. Oh, I still have my watch on. I knew yeah. Okay, that's the other thing. Didn't do the AVDW check. I tell you what, I go up to that cabin for a few days and forget it all. Could somebody send me another text message to see how that comes through now? No audio. Now it's okay. You have to fix. Okay, now. I'm kind of missing some names, I think. John Aloy, Speedy C, Zavi Manor, alias Tepe. Rick Lakes. It seems like I only focus on the names or focus on what the messages are.
You can't do both.
No, I seem like I can't do both very well. But we know Doug doesn't do multiple things very well. Ran Israel, heard nothing on Zoom, heard none of it. So we just got your attention. I think we covered, I think we caught you all up. I never see that YouTube system. I don't use ad blocker from Selden Ball. It's Rick's $5. Saying hello, is the router in bridge mode? So that would be your second router. Jeff, is it in bridge mode or does it actually route and hand out new IP addresses? If you're using this, if you're on the same IP range as the rest of the house, And that would tell me it is in bridge mode. If it's coming in to the WAN side of the router that you're connected to, then it's actually routing. Jeff, did you hear the question, or are you off watching something else?
No, I'm here.
Okay.
I was looking at chat.
Oh, did you understand the question about bridge mode?
I've heard of bridge mode.
Okay.
I
Nice.
have a router that's fastened into the wall on the outside of my house. I have internet from a company called WeLink, who broadcasts it via radio. And I have 3 radio antennas on my roof. They run cables down through the wall into their modem. And it's hooked into an Eero 6 Plus router there, and I have another one up in my office. So I have 2 of them. It's a mesh router system.
All right. So the internet.
And I don't really have a lot of options. I mean, I have an app on my phone that I can check things with.
Okay. So the internet gets to your house wirelessly.
Yes.
It gets into your house through their router. There's a Wi-Fi device that transmits to a device that's on the floor you're
right.
at.
Okay. Yeah. It comes into their modem, which is plugged into an outlet on the inside of an exterior wall of the house. They drilled a hole through my wall to run the cables from the radios in and all that sort of thing. I have 2 Eero 6 mesh routers. One hooks into the modem, and the other one's up in my office, and that blankets the house with a Wi-Fi.
Okay. Yeah, it's the mesh router. Then it's not a router in bridge mode. It's a mesh router system. So
yeah,
they would all be on the same subnet. Alex, is that what you were?
I was just gonna say that would be a mesh router system like Jeff has. Would be one router routing the traffic with multiple access points.
Right. So that answers.
Now the 2 routers I have, I can switch them. They're interchangeable. Same model.
Right. They just transmit to each other both ways.
And
uphill both ways in the snow.
Router up in my office, I have a wired connection out of that router into a switch. It runs to 2 different computers in my office and to a Cat 5 or Cat 6 line, which runs downstairs, where I have an internet VoIP phone.
Okay.
So it's kind of a messy setup, but it sort of works.
Yeah, that's an interesting setup. Hello, Chris, and hello, Ken.
Hello, Doug.
Ken, did you want to bounce out, and we'll go ahead and discuss the RoboForm LastPass subject while you're not here?
Can do that.
Oh, look at that. He just turned his camera on. Come back, Ken.
No, I bounced out. I didn't turn my camera off. I'm gone.
Yo, you're gone. Yeah, it's just the ghost of Ken's voice still looming around.
I talked to one of the Dougs. This is all pre-planned. They just don't know it.
Yeah, and that Doug didn't tell me about it either. So I'm going to go catch up with chat. Lawn Dog, first I would shut anything that has to do with internet down, then restart at the very first connection from your internet provider, meaning the cable box. That's the first one. So I think he's responding to Jeff's issue about when he clicks on another YouTube video, he sometimes gets that not connected to the internet. I wouldn't go that way first. I like the idea of uninstalling your ad blockers. That sounds like a lot.
Yeah, I'll try that for a while and let you know what happens.
But your workaround now is you actually exit, or do you have to restart the what have you been doing to deal with it?
I just close YouTube, and then I'm in Google Groups, which is where I log into.
Okay.
And then I log out of there. Normally, I don't have to restart the computer. I just have to log back into Google Groups, and then I go to the little menu in the upper right and start YouTube again. Normally, that works.
Okay. But then does that just get you back connected, and then next time you try to click on a video after having been in a live stream, you have the symptom again. And does the symptom only occur after live stream?
No, it can occur anytime, and
Anytime.
it's not consistent in how it happens,
All
which
right,
makes
that's
it hard to diagnose.
Oh, yeah. When you don't have an ad blocker, do you always get an ad when you go to a new video? I think that's not the case with the way YouTube does ads. I think it's a sometimes thing when you launch a new video that you'll get an ad before the video starts.
Well, like when I shut off the ad block right now,
Yeah.
it restarted with an ad over your broadcast, even though we were already into it. And then once it was done with the ad, then everything shows up live again as it would.
Okay, but that's a
So it
one-time.
stopped the ad initially, yeah.
That's a one-time instance. If you then go and start another video while the ad blocker is still turned off, do you always get a commercial at the beginning of any video?
You should.
Should
You
you?
should.
Has that
Let
been
me
your
mute and
experience,
I'll try
Jim?
it.
Jim, I know you've had some time of running YouTube without an ad blocker, as I remember you.
I no. The problem is there's no ad blockers on iPhone, iOS, none of that
Oh, that's
stuff.
where you were getting it.
All right,
All
Doug,
right.
I
That's
just
where I
tried
always
one.
get
and-
it.
Yeah, I just tried another one while I was muted.
Yeah.
And it started an ad immediately.
Yep, it will.
Okay.
Yeah,
The
well,
Every
only-
time.
All right.
Every time.
Every time. I didn't know that.
The only possible exception to that rule is when you're running a secondary device on your network, like a Raspberry Pi running a software called Pi-hole, that you can change your DNS settings to in your iPhone or iPad or whatnot. But the YouTube URLs for the ads change so much that doesn't even filter the ads. Only thing that filters the ads is the ad blockers on the computer.
All right. All right. Well, where I was going with that, I think you probably realize is that if ads at the beginning were not consistent, then that's maybe why you're not getting consistent message about disconnected from the internet when the ad blocker is active. I'll go try to get caught up here in chat. Londog's got more stuff about that process of restarting. I'd like to hear Doug's thought on reinstalling Chrome. Maybe another reset Google Chrome. I wouldn't even speculate on what next until you try the ad blocker, because the ad blockers are the things that you're doing that Google isn't highly tested against, and the ad blockers maybe are not highly tested against your unique setup. I'd start with uninstalling the ad blockers.
Well, I just removed the extension, so I'll just run like that in the rest of your stream and see if anything happens.
Yeah. Now, if just removing the extension seems to fix the issue, meaning you've got a positive result with just doing that much, well, then you're done. If you get,
Right, I'll have to test it for a while. As I say, this is a sporadic problem.
Yeah. If it doesn't give you if the problem still exists, that doesn't really say that the ad blocker isn't the trouble. You might have to go further with actually uninstalling it. All right. Hello, Gary Weisenberger. Good morning to you.
Hello, Doug.
I'm going to go try to finish out my catch up with chat and then come back to resume a little more. Braver Fox, Aliaz, thank you, I'm fine. Bridge mode, you'd have to set it up, and that's not what he's got. Lately, YouTube higher bandwidth, maybe I'm misremembering. Hellos to each other. Some kind of problem with, I seem to recall, I had some kind of problem with LastPass many years ago, did some things about resetting your password. Ran into hellos there. I ran into goofy problems like you did, but it's been so long I don't remember what resolution which probably was just to start all over with a fresh install. Now today, if I were to uninstall LastPass, I would use a tool that cleans up the registry during the uninstall so it doesn't leave any stuff. A lot of times when you uninstall things, there are things left behind. Yeah, maybe test another browser, suggestion on tool. I have something to talk about that may be helpful for your viewers. I'll explain on Zoom from Alex. Very good. Glad to know we got something coming up. What ad blocker? I think he told us already. Go ahead and say that again, Jeff. What's the ad blocker called?
I just uninstalled the extension. It was,
all right.
Lawn Dog suggested uBlock, and that's the one I tried first, and it seemed like it fixed it for 4 or 5 days, and then all of a sudden the issue started again. So
yeah, is that actually called?
It may have nothing to do with the ad blocker at all. I mean, I don't know. I'm grasping at straws at this point.
Yeah,
and it doesn't happen every live stream or whatever. So it's just something I'll have to play with.
I
was just looking for ideas.
I only have one. Well, here's my idea. Try using Firefox with the uBlock origin and see if you still have the same.
That's
problem.
what I use Firefox.
Oh, okay. Because
So
I've not seen the behavior you were describing, and I've been using uBlock and Firefox for like ever.
Yeah. Well, I was using AdBlock something, and then I switched to AdBlock Ultimate. And then when I started having these issues, I tried uBlock Origin, and it seemed like it was okay for 4 or 5 days, and then all of a sudden I started seeing issues again. Again, it's not consistent, so it's hard to diagnose. So, yeah, we can move on to something else, I guess.
So the comment earlier about uninstalling Google Chrome and reinstalling, that doesn't apply because you're using Firefox, not Google Chrome.
Right. I occasionally use Edge, but not for this sort of stuff. So
I have a comment about this. Would it be possible, another good troubleshooting step in my mind at least would be, if your computer has a wireless card, Jeff, and your phone has a hotspot on it, try to connect your computer to your phone on your hotspot or some other secondary internet connection, and that's completely separate from the one you have right now, and see if the same issue persists. And if it doesn't, it's an issue with your internet, not YouTube.
Well, but the internet never causes me any trouble at any other website. This only happens in YouTube. Even when it's happening in YouTube, I can go to my browser and go to any other website and everything's fine.
How about opening a new tab and clicking on a YouTube video? New tab and go to YouTube.
I haven't tried that.
Yeah. Now, Lawn Dog is saying here that uBlock and uBlock Origin are 2 different products. Is that the case? I wasn't aware of that. Anyone else confirm that? uBlock and uBlock Origin are 2 different products?
Couldn't tell you. I've only used the uBlock origin.
All right. Are you adding YouTube to the whitelist of the ad blocker? Well, if you do that, that means you're going to get ads in YouTube, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because you're
I'll
telling
just run without the ad blocker a while and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think you'd want to add what Dave Hall is suggesting here. I don't think you'd want to add YouTube to the whitelist of the ad blocker, because that means you want their ads to come through.
Yeah, Lawn Dog suggests I try it on another machine, and my old PC still works fine. It's not as fast as my new one, but this isn't something I need speed for. I have a crappier camera on that one, but I was watching you and Carrie and everybody else on the old one for a while prior to having my new build. So, I mean, I can still use that machine and see what happens over there.
So I've read through more chat messages here that I haven't read them out loud while you've been talking. This one from Bus: the look like fake ones start appearing once a particular becomes popular. I'm not quite figuring out I think there's a some form of a typo or word mix up there, so I don't follow that boss. Whitelist is for, oh, he's suggesting the whitelisting YouTube for troubleshooting. Okay, for that, that's a fair idea.
Yeah.
Because if you were to keep that ad blocker active and whitelist YouTube, that means you're going to see the ads, but does that problem go away? Now, here's the catch there. If you find that you no longer seem to have that symptom occurring with YouTube whitelist, that isn't really a long-term solution to anything. That's not an acceptable result to stick with. That does tell you that the ad blocker affects that symptom and that the ad blocker perhaps is the cause of it, but it doesn't give you a solution. So then you're still at the level, okay, if you want to install it, is the symptom still clear?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that
Yeah.
moves you
I don't know.
ahead.
I have removed the extension.
You've
on
done it now.
Firefox, and
Okay.
I will see what happens. And if that fixes it, then I can just do this and not
Now-
worry about seeing the ads. I mean, that's one solution. It isn't what I would like, but it's not life or death.
Jeff, when you first mentioned uBlock, you did not say uBlock Origin, and then later you said uBlock Origin. So
Well, it was uBlock Origin because
it always was. That's all you've done. Okay.
Well, I had another one here. It was another ad block something else. I tried that after uBlock Origin. It worked for a while and then didn't seem to work.
Yeah. And then Dave adds, if whitelist helped, then maybe YouTube is doing something. That still leaves me questioning.
And there's
Does
another
that
ad blocker
step-
that says ad block YouTube. I've never tried it. I mean, when you go look at extensions to Firefox.
So to finish my thought, if with Dave saying if the whitelist helped, then maybe YouTube is doing something. Okay, so still, but yes or no answer to that test. Where does that take you? What are you going to do next?
Yeah.
So yeah, you're going to say it's YouTube's fault if whitelist helped, yeah, but that doesn't really move you forward, I don't think.
Well,
But
and to
you're
be fair, if you ad block while you're watching YouTube, that I assume is taking a few cents away from the creator.
oh yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So
All right, so then Long Dog, look, I think also, Jeff, that you need to clarify what kind of ads you're seeing and where you're seeing them. Again, a pain in the rear. For most part, I do not see any ads on YouTube.
well, it's not that I'm seeing ads,
Okay.
it's just when I'm
Yeah, I know, I
watching
get it.
something, all of a sudden I try to go to another stream, or I went to another one and I try to
Okay.
return to the one I was watching, and all of a sudden YouTube thinks I'm not connected to the internet.
All
It's
right.
not that I'm seeing ads.
Got it. We've been on this long enough.
Yeah,
You've
yeah.
got you've
Move on to
got
something
your
else.
you've got your action. Let's move on. Gary, I didn't give you a chance to ask if you were bringing any questions or just here hanging out, or what's going on with you.
Just hanging out for now. Got some
Okay.
stuff, but nothing big.
All right, great. And then Alex, you said you had something to bring to us.
Yes, if you want to pull up that link I sent you, that's in the YouTube chat. That's what I wanted to talk about.
In the YouTube chat. Okay, I'm going to go, I'll search for Alex. Find it. Here, this one, vocalremoval.org. You want to remove my vocal cords because you're
No,
driving
I
me
had
nuts.
had a customer come to me asking me, his brother made a CD, a gospel CD, and his brother had passed away already, so he wanted the music to be able to sing along, but he didn't want the voice, so he wanted me to make a CD without the words, and that is the best website I found if anybody needs to be able to remove vocals from CDs or songs, or even like anything. the artificial intelligence will pick up on whatever, as long as it's an MP3 or a WAV file. You can have just the vocals or just the music.
So as far as demonstrating it, it occurs to me that I don't want to run into copyright issues. So I figure all we got to do is get Ken to sing something. We record it with music in the background and then pull out his voice.
The only
Out of your mind.
caveat I found to this particular app is that if you don't pay for it, it says it's free, but if you don't pay for it, it only lets you convert one song, and then it says it's blocking you because of your IP address because there's too many requests, and it wants you to become a patron. So in order to fix that, I paid the guy. I donated $1 so I could convert all 14 of this guy's songs and made $40.
Oh, all right. So now you have tried it, right? You have
Yes.
tested this product.
I donated $1 to the guy that makes the website so I could convert all of my customers' music to just take the vocals out of all my customers' songs, and then my mom and the customer were really happy with the
wow.
outcome.
Then it only cost you $1.
Yes.
So they just want you to become a patron. They're not saying a specific amount.
They just want me to become a patron. All I did was become a patron long enough to do those 14 songs, and then I canceled. But it's only $1, so if I forgot to cancel, it wouldn't be a big deal.
All right. Ken, were you trying to get my attention?
Yeah, I was asking if you were out of your mind when you wanted me to sing.
Oh.
Maybe you can find some copyright free stuff, but sometimes that can be a little sketchy. I know you don't want to get a copyright claim.
Yeah, and I don't know that how many people are really interested in us going down that road. I do know that Ken asked for a subject to go first, and we haven't done it first. So, Ken, the subject that you voted for as first was number 2 on my list in the description, and it was my experiences with LastPass and RoboForm. As you can see up here in my extensions, here's RoboForm and here's LastPass. So I have paid versions of both of them running concurrently. I was a LastPass customer for many years. Well, still am a LastPass customer for many years. And then when RoboForm announced that they were going to include being able to enter passwords for non-browser related things, that attracted, I was attracted to that. So I got RoboForm. I transitioned from LastPass to RoboForm, and after a few days felt that it was okay, and so then I canceled my LastPass subscription. That caused me a pretty severe problem, because what I didn't think about was on my phone, I had the LastPass authenticator used as my two-factor authentication for many sites. So it no longer worked after I stopped that subscription. And LastPass, let's see, who is it? LastPass, yeah, you can be the free version on one device, but I don't think that even includes the authenticator. But then that would be a separate device. So anyway, I wound up resubscribing, and my authenticator stuff did not reactivate. So I contacted their tech support, and they helped me get that back. So I got all that back. But currently, I have the paid versions of LastPass and RoboForm, both running on multiple computers, and it's a little messy. I do have a OneNote document. I did not look at it in preparation for this, but it is a listing of my complaints about the products. So I'm going to bring that up now, take a scan through it and see, yeah, kind of scanning through it to see if there's anything in here that is client specific. Yeah, I don't see anything that's client specific. So I'll go ahead and bring that up on screen. And this is not what I would consider an authoritative review of the two products or authoritative comparison. What I said in the description was my experiences with the two. So here's LastPass Complaints, and do I have? I don't know if I've even updated with RoboForm. Yeah, here's something down here with RoboForm. There's a bunch of stuff in there with RoboForm. So coming back up here, my LastPass Complaints. Oh, this was a government site. For sales tax, prompts new password every 300 days, which opens a new tab for entering new password. LastPass misses recording that, so I have to manually update LastPass. Okay, so yeah, they forced me to change the password, but somehow LastPass just doesn't see that happen. So I have to go manually update it. There's no way to conveniently enter credentials when I'm connecting to a computer Log Me and Rescue. So this was an issue where I have Log Me and Rescue, which is the same company, right? LastPass, Log Me In, they're the same company. I have all these computers that I connect to remotely, and I wanted for LastPass to be able to remember those credentials, and it doesn't. So I talked to their tech support a few times over, and basically what they came back to, the rudest comment I got on a phone conversation was, it's a different product. They can't talk to each other. Software products talk to each other all the time. API, Application Programming Interface, I think is what that stands for. So they did not have a way for me to do that. And then I thought that RoboForm, since it was when they came out with the announcement that they were going to be able to capture password information on programs on your computer that are not web browser based, they were going to be able to capture that and enter those. So I went to RoboForm for that, read their instructions, watched videos, tried to implement it for Epic Games, for Fortnite, and could not get it to work. And I talked with their tech support and made progress on that. But it was still just a bunch. It was spending so much time trying to get that to work. And then when it did work, it was kind of not very clean, a little clumsy. I thought I did not give it enough time for this to be a fair evaluation of it. But I don't want something that I have to put a lot of work into making it work. So, next one. I recently changed the password on a website, and in the change password pop-up, LastPass was not available. I had to manually re-enter the password for LastPass to record it. So that was another instance, similar to what I said previously. When signing into Wells Fargo, I have to click LastPass to get it to enter credentials. Sometimes Wells Fargo takes me to a second login screen where I have to do that again. LastPass doesn't handle that grease. So those are some complaints about LastPass, and there's some others, and I'm not going to. Let's skip to some stuff about RoboForm. Signing into Union Bank and Wells Fargo Bank is weird. Need to record a video with LastPass, then try RoboForm. When I removed LastPass from Google Chrome and changed Google password, I found that RoboForm failed to record the new password. When logging in manually with the new password, RoboForm captured it. However, when changing the Google password, that automatically logged out all devices from Google, except for the HP Silver, which is my laptop in the kitchen. I changed the password on supposedly on my iPhone. When logging into Google Chrome on HP Silver, it wanted me to confirm via the Gmail app on my iPhone, but when I opened the Gmail app on iPhone, it prompted me to configure the account, which required authentication from the Gmail app. This is a dead-end loop. My only salvation was that I had a secondary multiple factor authentication on the Google account for the text message, which worked. So that's kind of wordy and confusing and not written very well for an audience. But what I'm communicating and trying to get across, I haven't been real happy with either product. Now, there's another piece that I didn't see in the notes there. Maybe it is somewhere else, but when I go to a website and log into, or let's see, how would I say this? This is probably gonna, I don't know what website to go to reliably demonstrate this, so I'll just describe it. Oh no, here's something here's another complaint I have. The point is, if I go to a website and then click on LastPass or RoboForm up here, I want it to sense what website is on and automatically go to that entry. Now I've got to take that off screen to click on this to be sure. Yeah. And this one, let's see. Oh, well then here's another problem. I'm not going to be able to demonstrate what I'm trying to describe here, but when I click on this and search LastPass Vault, I want it to assume that I'm looking for something about the website that I have on screen right now. And RoboForm doesn't do that, but in the past, LastPass has done that. Now, here's the problem about what's broken on Big Beast Build for RoboForm is it keeps asking me to put in my master password. It won't remember it on this computer. It used to, but it doesn't anymore. Now on Baby Beast, I just restarted Baby Beast. But when I click on RoboForm, it's there. It's up and ready. I don't have to put in the master password. Big Beast, I have to put in the master password multiple times through the day. It's not just when I restart the computer. So I've been just putting up with that and been telling myself that I should uninstall and reinstall RoboForm and see if that fixes it. I'm also wondering if there's a limit to how many computers RoboForm can be remembered, and so that you don't have to put the master password in again, because I have it on several computers on my cell phone. But let's point out this one. Here's another thing. RoboForm icon floats up here next to the username field, but there's the LastPass icon right there. And down here, notice the LastPass is covering, concealing, hiding the eyeball. So I frequently, if I want to see what the password is, I'll get either RoboForm or LastPass to put it in. But then I want to click the eyeball to see it. And oftentimes, the LastPass icon is totally concealing the eyeball, and I can't click it. So, I mean, it's minor, but it's a frustration. Something I'm not real happy with. All right.
And Doug,
Yes, Jeff.
on RoboForm, if you go to settings, there's an auto logout after so many minutes, and you can change that.
Well, I was wondering if it was going to be that simple. I used to not have to do that. So let's go take a look at that. That was on RoboForm, you said?
Yes.
All right. So if I go into RoboForm here.
Mine defaulted to 4 hours.
All right. So I got to put in my password, which I know this is all going to be dots.
Your password is all dots?
Yeah. It's easy to remember that way.
Doug, I have a better solution for you.
What?
Just start remembering all your passwords, or put them on in a notepad, and just save the notepad.
Yeah, I know. I actually do that, and I heard you say the other day.
I was just being funny.
Well, actually, no. There is significance to that. I do not subscribe to the school that everybody should be using a password manager. I do subscribe to the school that everyone needs to really understand how password works and how exposed they are, because I have clients all the time that if I can walk up to their computer and go into the password section on their browser, and when I click to view the passwords, all it wants is their Windows login password to expose all of those. Because if they're saving their passwords and they're not signed in with a Google account, or with a Microsoft account, then all I need is their Windows password. In business offices, very often they know each other's password. And it can expose their personal saved passwords that they've saved on their business computer. So, and if you don't have a password on your Windows at all, and you're letting your browser save your passwords, and you don't have you're not signed into your browser with a Google account or with a Microsoft account, then I think it's the case that you can just click to expose those passwords without any kind of authentication. So anyone could walk up to your computer and do that. So then I'm supposing that you're saying it's on this menu here about where to go for that. Here's
It's under
settings.
security. You go to
see,
settings and then
security,
go to security.
settings and then security. So here's Security Center. If I go settings and security, it might be the same thing as if I went straight there. Always ask for master password. So that would definitely be a reason why this is happening. Don't ask for master password. So I put it in here.
That means RoboForm will start up without any password then. Right?
Yeah, sounds like it. For security reasons, we will ask you to enter your master password every 30 days. All right. And this auto log out after this many minutes, this is grayed out. I can't change that.
Right.
So
That's only not grayed out if you use your master password.
oh, if you say always ask for it. So, oh yeah,
Yeah.
up here I can do that. Well, that was awfully simple fix. I don't know how that ever got changed. But I suppose I wouldn't put it past myself that I changed that just to see how it would work and forgot about that. Could be. All right, that one's down. I won't really know that for sure until I check it out over time. Where am I in chat? Oh yeah, we went back up to Alex's link. Zadie Bond, hello to you. And looks like he's told me where to put that in. Somebody's using Bitwarden, OnDog, or not using it. I believe Bitwarden Doug would help store that information as a section for storing notes. Oh yeah, well RoboForm and LastPass both have a place to store notes. And when I switched from LastPass to RoboForm, those notes carried over. I do have some password protected pages in OneNote, and I create a section in, well, first it was LastPass, to be able to put those notes in. And they are in there, but they are not triggered by anything to pop up. I have to go click to find them. So yes, I'm sure they all do that. It's very likely that all these products have all the same features, except I'm kind of cringing a little bit because my comparison experience between XSplit and OBS, they have some differences that are must-haves for me. OBS has a feature in it that's must-have for my Fortnite channel. XSplit has must-have for my Live Windows Training channel that OBS doesn't have. So they do have, and it's a head scratcher for me. Why? I mean, it seems pretty basic that both products should have the features that I'm wanting there, because it's not very obscure features. But we'll save that for later, particularly if somebody asks about it. I know that I've skipped over some stuff. There's an awful lot. Dave Hall had a brief problem a few weeks ago with ad blockers, stopping one side I've used for years, uninstalled, then added back one at a time. It cured the problem. No ad blocker perfect. Now I'm kind of bouncing around here trying to figure out where I was. There's the other machine. I remember that. Look like fake. Yeah, I remember that. Whitelist for troubleshooting. I remember that. I remember that one. No ad blockers. Perfect. Also, what do you consider an ad? I'm talking about the one starting at the beginning of the video. Okay, so that is 11:35. Oh my gosh, that's like 20 minutes of chat that I'm behind on. All right, so I'm going to look for orange and question marks. Sadie Bond, setting security on last. Yes, we got that. Looking for question marks and orange. Oh, that's it. I'm caught up. Doug, think about what I think you're trying to say, that you want remotely log into a computer, send over the password and some other information. That isn't going to happen. Okay, so I got to struggle a little bit to break that apart. There's no punctuation. Doug, think about what I think you're trying to say is that you want to remotely log into a computer and send over the password and some other information. That isn't going to happen. Why not? In order to get into LogMe and Rescue, I have to put in my account credentials for LogMe and Rescue, which includes a multi-factor authentication. It's completely reasonable for it to be able to remember the account credentials for connecting to the computers. I don't see that that's a security breach at all, because my workaround for it is not as good. Dog's got another tool in his browser, Privacy Badger. Again, I'm going to start looking for question marks and orange. So if you put something into chat earlier that you want me to read, just go up and triple click on it, Control C, come down on the chat line and Control V to paste it again. Put the 3 question marks at the front of that, not 2 question marks, 3 question marks, or hit me in orange. And that means the @ symbol and LI, and then click on my name. All right. Ken, what your question was, or your request was, to say my experience with LastPass and RoboForm. Did you have any further questions?
No, I was just trying to figure out why I had to change the password on Wednesday, and then I did 3 things on Thursday. I rebooted my router, I ran CCleaner, and I updated my Stream Deck, and it wanted me to change my password again, but it would not let me change my password. We had to do a backup, reinstall a backup from 20 days ago, and it fixed the problem, because then I could go in there through LastPass and revert the password back to the old password. It's just frustrating.
Now, when you describe the 3 things that you did, from my hit and miss on your videos, I remember something about clearing cache at one point was thought
that was
to
the
be
day
the
before.
cause.
That was Wednesday, because I'm having issues in YouTube that when I skip forward on a video, I get about 30 seconds of lagging. So Chris had suggested clear the cache on the browser, which I did. As soon as I did that, LastPass master password's gone away, so I changed it and it worked just fine. Then on Thursday, the 3 items were reboot the drive or the router, CCleaner, and update my Stream Deck. And immediately, LastPass master password's gone away. So I thought, well, I'll just do the same steps I did yesterday. We could not do it. It was impossible.
Okay, when I heard that, I was wondering, when you went to clear the cache, did you clear more than just the cache? Did you possibly actually reset the browser to default settings?
Nope, I just cleared the browser history, just the cache, nothing.
Okay, so that
nothing
would have been
spectacular.
That would have been here, and it was Google Chrome that you were using, right?
Yep.
The Chrome browser. So then here's basic cached images and files. For me, it frees up less than 320. So you didn't have check marks for browsing history or cookies. And this is all the check marks there is, isn't there? Unless we go into advanced, then there's this other stuff.
Yeah, and I didn't go into advanced.
Yeah. So these are all check marked. This passwords and other sign-in data is check marked. When you run basic, I would expect that that's all it's going to do, that it's not going to include this stuff that is currently selected on the advanced tab. If it does, then that's a problem. If this is basic clearing, or if this is the basic check marks and these are the advanced check marks that are here by default, does click and clear data here include doing this stuff? I would think not, but I can't say that I have tested that or know it. While keeping Google in your account site. To clear browsing data from this device only while keeping it in your Google account, sign out. All right, I understand that. See, what bothers me is that when we're on this basic tab here, these buttons down here are identical to when I go to advanced. This basic advanced only seems to change what's in here. It's not changing the button. If the clear data button was on this, in this area, and that the advanced was a different clear data button, that would give me a better comfort level. But can't say that I know that. Opinions? Dead silent.
Nope.
All right. Data, you can also open your RoboForm app itself, go into settings, security, and disable it, needing your password all the time. Yeah, we did that. Get back to Ken's issue.
So when you change your RoboForm to not need your master password, does that mean if someone were to hack into your computer, they have access to all your passwords?
Yep.
Yeah. Is that what you want to try next?
Oh gosh, no. No, I just saw when I was watching, I was like, well, when you check that you're not going to need that, when you go into RoboForm, you're not going to have to put it in there. It's going to automatically be open. So if I were to hack into your system, then I would be able to get access all your passwords.
Yeah.
So, okay. No, I don't know what direction I'm going to go right now. I've got everything back right now. I'm contemplating going to RoboForm, but for now, I'm just kind of going to go with what I have and go from there.
Now let's explore a little bit further about what is the security against somebody hacking into my computer. First is I don't have a static public IP address, so my router is on a dynamic public IP address. If I were to go to a website and while I'm live streaming, for instance, and type in what is my IP, well, then I'm announcing to all the hackers watching what my public IP is. So then they could use their hacking tools to try to see what kind of access they can get. Is there a vulnerability in my router that they can exploit? Once they get access to my router, can they then get access to my local area network in my home, and then query what computers are connected to the network, and then be able to query what operating systems are those computers using, and then are there any vulnerabilities they can exploit? Are there applications traffic that's going through my network that gives them a clue as to possible?
They have to get through the firewall. Like for example, on my router, the firewall is blocking all incoming traffic, so only outgoing traffic is allowed, not incoming.
Yeah, unless they find that your router has a vulnerability that they can gain access to it and change settings on it. So then, yeah, I got to say, is my router firmware up to date so that any vulnerabilities that have been discovered with that router have been patched. If the bad guys, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I can't, in my particular router, since I'm forced to use the ISP router as the actual router because I'm on a DSL connection, they have to keep the firmware up to date. I can't do that. There is no, I have 100% access to log into the router and change anything, but there is no option to update the firmware. like there would be in a
Okay.
Linksys or Netgear router.
So I'd have to be concerned, do they actually do updates? Because that's one of the
They
things.
do, they do updates, and I can know that for a fact because there's been times that the my router, when you go to the login page to log in, it tells you what the uptime is of the router
Okay.
and all that. Gives you a counter, days, hours, and minutes. And there's been days that the counter reset itself, which means the router's been rebooted, but there's been no power outages or any other things.
Okay.
So,
Does it display
and
a version?
I've taken screenshots to see the different version numbers of the firmware.
Okay, so it does show you a version number. That's
Yes.
what I was getting to. Yeah. All right. Now, also on the subject of hackers, hackers get into companies that have full IT security departments within the IT department. So a sufficiently motivated and funded hacker, if they set their sights on me, they're going to get me. If the companies with full IT security departments, that it's their job to protect. If they still fall victim to that hackers, what hope do I have? My biggest comfort is that I'm a nobody from that level of skill and funding hackers. And Iran and Russia and China, their governments are known to employ hackers to pursue criminal ventures, and it's part of their funding of their government entities. Now, when I say known, the reason I'm saying that is because I follow podcasts and YouTube channels that report about that stuff, and it's pretty well documented. So, what else is going on? Ken, did we get down the road of LastPass and RoboForm far enough?
Yeah, we're good. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So and the bottom line takeaway that I want to be sure people know is that I'm not a fanboy for either product. I do intend to keep using them. I do. Oh, and Alex, I didn't finish my response to Alex. I do have passwords written down elsewhere besides LastPass and RoboForm. I do have them documented elsewhere for the ones that I really care about. And I also, every time I go, not every time, but I keep trying to check up on my security settings in each account that I have to be sure that I have some way of doing password recovery. Give them an alternate email address or some alternate method of confirming who I am. And when I answer security questions for a new account, I will make note of that somewhere. Alex, were you trying to respond to something?
I was just going to say, in my case, there's only one account that I really can't lose access to, and that's my Google account. And I've pretty much set up every form of password recovery possible. I've even got a sheet of paper with 10 one-time use backup codes in my wallet, so that if I forget the password or if I don't have my phone or anything, as long as I got my wallet, I can still log into my Google from anybody's. Because if I lose access to that, I basically lose access to my phone number and all my contacts and everything, because everything is synced up to Google.
Yeah.
The only other thing I have that I can't lose access to is all the passwords for my dad's website, because those are non-recoverable. So I have those saved in like 5 different places, as well as have them printed out hard copy in the safe.
Yeah. I had a pretty frustrating experience going up to the cabin with a different computer. When I get up there, it challenges me to make sure I am who I say I am. And I don't know if it was LastPass or RoboForm, but there were 2 password entries for Google, and I picked the wrong one. And then it put me through some extra challenges. So I've had times where it wants me to open the YouTube app on my iPhone. I've had times when it wants me to open Gmail on my iPhone. Problem is I don't have Gmail configured. I use the iPhone native mail app, not Gmail. So I would get into this loop where in order to do something on the computer, it wants me to do a verification on the phone. The phone has challenged me to get to my LastPass. I have to put in a LastPass password. Then it wants to do a 2-factor authentication to something else. And I just get stuck in this like revolving door of 3 different entities that want me to do a 2-factor authentication. And in sometimes I get to a point but I don't have that. And I'm not doing a very accurate or detailed job of reporting it, but it got me in a pretty frustrating state on a couple of occasions, but one was more significant than the other. Well, now here Londog puts in 3 question marks, but I need the question marks at the beginning to notice them. So I give that clarification. He's saying, Ken, is the current issue that you can't log into the account? Second question, do you know the old password and potentially know? His problem is solved. He's fixed. He restored an image backup from a date before the problem occurred. And now, last I heard, he was contemplating whether to try to recover files from the backup image. Was that something going on, Ken?
Yeah, there's a couple things that changed, but I can recreate those and continue to march as it is.
Yeah, well, now you can also, remember, you can also mount the backup that you did before doing the restore operation, because you did a backup before doing that restore operation. You can mount that and copy files out of it into your current drive.
You do know you're talking to me, right?
Well, yeah, but I'm also talking to the people that are helping you. The people that are helping.
He was talking to you.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm aware I can do that, and then you do know if I do that, I'll be doing another restore of the original backup because I will have screwed something up.
Yeah.
You're using Macrium?
Yes, the professor talked me into going to Macrium, so I do have Macrium. Then that little trader went and got a Cronus. You believe that?
What is the content that you would be wanting to get from the backup?
A couple things out of OBS and a couple things from my desktop and a couple things from DaVinci.
Are they actual files?
I would hope so. They're in the 3 programs.
As far as the OBS stuff goes, you would just have to know where the files are saved in the actual file structure and know where to copy them to on your local machine.
Okay.
Because I figure it's probably something to do with the scenes or the sources that you had configured, and those are configured in specific files and program files somewhere.
It'll get it worked out. Again, I'm in no hurry. I can recreate everything in DaVinci. I can recreate everything in OBS, and I would hope to goodness I can figure out how to put something back on my desktop. No comments from the peanut gallery, please.
Yeah. Well, Ken, that all sounds like stuff that I'd be willing to do a one-on-one Zoom session with you and record it and put it on my channel.
Sure.
If you want to do that.
Sure.
I think that would be a interesting thing, because we'd be trying to figure out between us what the content is that you want. Then I would figure out where those files are stored and what they are, and we'd mount the backup image and copy those over. I think that'd be a good video to have on my channel.
That'll work.
All right. Okay, then we'll figure out a day and time to do that between the two of us. Then coming back here.
Check my calendar.
Oh, I got it. Catch up here. So where was that? This chat room bounces around. Oh, that's one I
Doug, I got a
highlighted.
question.
Yes, Alex.
Have you thought about doing another 5-hour live stream anytime soon?
No. No. Let me do this way. No. No. Is that something you're asking for, Alex, or are you just
No, that's
joking?
not. I'm just messing with you.
No, that's way too long. That's just too long. I don't have young Carrie's stamina to that length of a show. Oy. When I did that, it was not intentional. It was not planned. It was because we were working on something that just went on. And you've seen me since then many times saying, well, yeah, we could do that, but that's gonna take a while. I don't want to do it. Say, no, I don't wanna. All right. Back here. Looking for question marks and orange. Question marks. Seldom ball. Often enterprise sites are compromised by way of compromised user accounts, which have to be able to log in from remote sites. I don't know if you have that vulnerability. I have many of my clients set up with their own LogMeIn account so they can connect to their office computers from their home. We have two-factor authentication set up for all of those. The catch is, I think I've got to all of them by now, but the catch is many of those two-factor authentications go to my cell phone, not their cell phone, because we have their home computer set up to be able to make the connection without an additional two-factor authentication. Now, when they are connecting to their office computer from their home computer, they do have to, well, some of them have to enter their login credentials for the office computer, but those can be remembered too. So when we're setting up their home computer, I ask them, and I am very consistent about this, do you want to have to enter your password every time you connect? Now, the reason why you might say yes to me for that is if there are the people that come through your house or people in your house that you don't want them even accidentally launching that and doing something that might be a problem for your office computer. So if they say, no, this is my computer, the people that live with me, no, they don't, we don't have strangers in the house meandering, that kind of thing, then they'll be able to connect. There is logs that LogMeIn has that I can tell, we can go check to see when the connection was made, so that if something goes wrong, we can work through that with the user to find out, was there somebody using your computer at a time that wasn't you? They can choose to enter the password if they don't want their office computer exposed to people that could be in the house. The two-factor authentication is only going to come into effect if they go to some other computer and try to do the remote connection. So the two-factor authentication that exists when they're using this computer is that they are using this computer that is remembering the connection. So it doesn't challenge them for the two-factor every time they connect. Now, the reason why most of them are set up to do two-factor to my cell phone is because they are always
so that's actually never been available.
Okay, Jim, I muted you. They are always using that same computer. They never need the two-factor. if they were to go somewhere else and they were trying to connect, they're going to need my assistance to do that anyway, because they don't know how to do it from another computer.
Are they using the Log Me In app on their computer like you are, or do they
Yeah.
log into the website?
They're using a Log Me In app on their computer, but not like I am. I'm using a Log Me In Rescue Technician. That's a different software product. They're a totally different product, far more expensive what I'm using. Did that answer your question, Alex?
Yes.
If I go to another computer, I can use the Log Me In Rescue Technician from a web browser on someone else's computer, or I can install the program on another computer, and I will get a two-factor authentication challenge. When I launch, when I launch Log Me In Rescue on my own computer, I get a two-factor challenge, and I think that's because I actually configured it that way. If somebody breaks into my house, I don't want them to be able to sit down on my computer and connect to clients' computers. Although they still have to figure out where I record the credentials for those computers that I'm connecting to. All right. Let's see. Lawn Dog's using Bitwarden, looking for
Which is also in another encrypted format, I would hope, in your actual OneNote documents that nobody can just randomly get to.
Yeah, that's where I mentioned before that I have places in my OneNote documents that are individually password protected, pages that are in OneNote that are password protected. If I were to design my client documentation system differently from scratch today, knowing what I know now, it would be different than what I'm using, because what I'm using started out 30 whatever years ago, and it's
35
evolved,
plus.
Whatever. It's evolved over time, and it's evolved to different operating systems. It's evolved to different programs. If I were to redesign it from scratch now, I would be doing it different. I would probably be making more substantial use of either LastPass or RoboForm. If I were to start over again from scratch, I would not be using both of those products. Would be hard pressed to pick one over the other at the moment. But I don't even know the price difference between the two products. And it's all automatic billing, and I don't look at the numbers. Question marks. Here's 3 question marks. Alex, the image you guys made using Macrium before restoring the older image, shouldn't it be possible to poke into that image? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying that I wanted to do with Ken. And post that video. See my above comment to Alex. Did that. All right. He just putting in the question marks at the beginning like I asked for. Thank you. Lost my Apple account because of two-factor authentication. Yeah, that can be a thing. I know you're more familiar with idiosyncrasies of Macrium. Oh, yeah, that's on that same subject. Yeah, so we'll mount it and go get those files. I'm also more familiar with the idiosyncrasies as to where files are stored. Also more. Let's see, there's 2 question marks, not 3. How about a brief talk on 100% disk usage with Windows 11 64-bit 21H1? I just solved my problem on laptop by disabling sys main superfetch. Superfetch or prefetch? Anything more permanent on fixes? I've seen a lot of 100% disk usage. It's kind of commonplace that it happens when a computer is just started up. It's more commonplace with a spinning disk as opposed to an SSD, but SSDs can also do it too. I've also come across times where, an antivirus product, even Windows Defender, will be at maximum disk usage. I've also seen times when disk indexing, file indexing, will be running up 100% disk usage. I've also seen where some kind of malware causes it. So it's just, you got to go into, well, I would start with going into Task Manager and looking at what files are actually being used. So you can go into Performance and Disk here, and of course you're going to see the 100% usage if that's what you're having, but then go into Resource Monitor down here, and whoops, well, wait a minute, that wasn't displaying, was it? All right, that's it, because Task Manager came up on my middle monitor. So here's when I first went into Task Manager, it was on this screen. You would be seeing 100% disk utilization. Go to the Performance tab, you get more information about the disk utilization, but more informative is Resource Monitor down here. Click on that, and then you can click on Disk, the Disk tab, and you can see actually what files are in use. So then this total column right here, if you click on that once, it's now just sorted these in descending order by the total usage. So that means combined read and writes, total usage. So you're seeing what files are taking up the most disk activity. And if you find things in here that are names associated with your antivirus protection or Windows Defender or the file indexing, I don't remember what the name of that was, but whatever names you find here, you can do Google search on that. Can you right click on it here? No, if you're using sysinternal tools, you could right click on it and just search the web for it. But you could find out what it's associated with. Now, this is the image column. I should have been showing the file column, because this column here, when I spread it wider, let's maximize, spread it wider, you can actually see what files are causing all the disk activity. When you see those files, you can then go research them. What is that? What is it doing? Why is it doing it? So right now we see the video files folder. This file name, which is the name of today's video, YouTube Live Windows Training Multiple Topics. So that's the actual name of this live stream, and it's storing that into a temp file MP4. That's because I have XSplit configured to store the recording locally. So it's doing the live stream, it stores on YouTube, it's also stored locally on this computer. That I can go back and
something just caught my attention. You said that you record as an MP4 file with XSplit.
Yeah.
Right. I know if you select to record as an MP4 file with OBS, it will say that the recording, if in case of power failure or computer crash, the recording cannot be recovered. Is that the same way with the XSplit?
It's possible. I don't know that. So you're saying if I had a power failure during the live stream, that in OBS they say that you cannot recover that recording.
Correct. If you're using MP4, if you're using something else like MKV, you can.
Oh, interesting. No, I don't know that, but I would suspect that has to do with this temporary designation, because after I end the recording, that file name will change. If I'm actually watching the file structure at the time that I end the recording, I'll see the change occur. And if I think I have actually tried, I think I've had times where XSplit crashed on a recording, not a live stream, but a recording. And I go back and I see that temp file is there, and I try opening it, and I think I want to say that it fails to open. And that would be supporting what you're saying, that an MP4 being live recorded, you have a power failure, or I think if your software crashes, in either case, you can't recover that. I don't care enough on that subject to bother investigating it or making that change. And it's kind of, I think maybe once or twice I've gone back to do something that with the recording of a live stream that was not really very important to me. Well, okay, here's the place to do that, is that you have seen occasions where I accidentally expose something and I change the live stream to private. In the live stream, change it to private. And then two directions there is I can go edit it through the YouTube studio, which is really, really painfully slow. If it's a short video, it can be tolerable. If it's a long video, you do clicks and you walk away, come back a couple hours later, do the next step. It's just really slow. Now, once I'm done with that, I can save the edits that I did, and then the same URL still works. I can change it to public, and people can watch the video, but we lose the chat, we lose the live chat. Alternatively, I could edit the video locally on my computer, which would be much quicker and easier to do. Then I'd have to upload it and then publish it, and that would be a different URL. I don't think being the same URL is important one way or another. It might make a difference to monetization. I don't know, but at my numbers, I don't think it's significant to even investigate. All right, so I think we went down that road far enough. I'll close Task Manager. So that was the brief talk. Let's see, not question marks. Question marks in orange. It just jumped on me again. Sheldon Ball, sorry, I was wondering if you have to log in to your own computers from elsewhere when you're away on vacation. I do. When I'm up at the cabin, I will use LogMe and Rescue to connect to my computers here. And one reason that I did that was I don't have the thumbnails. So when I had recorded the premiere videos that I did, I recorded them last Monday and uploaded them, but I didn't finish configuring them for when they were going to premiere. When I was up at the cabin, I did the configuration of those, but I didn't have access to the thumbnail at the cabin. So I connected remotely to Big Beast Build because the thumbnails are stored locally on Big Beast. They're not in my OneDrive. So yeah, that's the reason why I did it. And there's been other reasons why I've connected remotely to both Big Beast and Baby Beast. I don't think I connected remotely to the kitchen laptop. So I think that probably answers that question. Which I think you should start watching. It's approximately 2 o'clock on Tuesdays. Well, 2 o'clock on Tuesdays in whose time zone? Steve suggested a tool used on Security Now. I've been a long time follower of Security Now. But I haven't been watching it lately because I just had to. I'm a subscriber to the Club Twit, I think they call it, and I get them on my cell phone as podcasts, and I will listen to the shows on Overcast. Overcast is an app, so I often will watch or listen to Security Now and Windows Weekly.
So
go ahead.
So I was just going to say, so when you update your clients or when you get a new server for your clients, are you talking about that Windows Daily videos you did the other day? Are you planning on upgrading to a server that can support a Windows 11 of the server version? No, the Windows Server 2022, which is based on Windows 11.
Yeah, and we'll be doing a full cybersecurity insurance qualified setup there, where we're going to have Active Directory. We're going to have computers locked down. The computers will be logging in with Microsoft accounts to the Active Directory, and it's going to be very locked down because
Did you do a video on the setup, or are they paying for somebody else to do the actual setup?
No, I'll do the
Or are you
setup.
going to
and
do it yourself?
I'll do the setup, and I will be using Mike Smith as a support on that. And I think everyone probably recognizes Mike Smith's name from the videos that Carrie and Mike do, Tech Vets. And I've had Mike assist me on another office right now that we're on the tail end of doing all of that security implementation. And I do want to be able to make videos while I'm doing that setup. The catch is my client is dragging their feet because they have a price sticker shock for the cost of all this. It's way more expensive than anything we've ever done with them before, as you could assume by virtue of the 4 refurbished servers that we bought for them years ago. They were refurbished at the time. We only needed 2, but we bought 4 of them because we were dealing with refurbished. And those are just, all they do is file serve. They don't do DHCP, they don't do DNS, they don't do Active Directory. We did have one of them doing terminal server, but they don't do even print sharing. All they do is manage file sharing. If it was a smaller office, we could have done it with a Windows 10 computer without being a server at all. The only reason we're doing server is to have the drive redundancy with RAID 1 and RAID 5, and to have the ability to serve files to 40 computers, which you don't want to do on a peer-to-peer network.
This is probably a question I already know the answer to, but if you thought about, since all you're doing is file serving, have you thought about using a Ubuntu server or something like that, since all you'll be doing is serving files?
Well, not seriously thought about, because I'm not educated enough on in the Linux world. And I would not, it doesn't make any sense at all to try to become educated for one client. The refurbished servers, the price tag on them was just a nothing burger compared to current market server with all of the security implementations. Now, what I thought you were going to ask for was a NAS as file sharing, but the reason against that is we did have a couple software products that needed a real Windows server, and actually that would be the reason for not doing Ubuntu either, because we did have a couple of software programs that needed a real Windows Microsoft server. So that was the real answer back then. And the reason why we're going to be doing a full security implementation is because cybersecurity insurance is becoming more and more restrictive every year. When we get a questionnaire for the renewal of the cybersecurity insurance, they're asking questions about, do you do this? Do you do this? Do you do this? And if we answer no to too many of those questions, the cybersecurity insurance could be denied. And it has been denied. They've had to have a broker find another insurance provider that would cover them under the current circumstances. We've also had, with the other client that I'm at the tail end of finishing up their high security configuration, they the last time they did their security insurance form, they told their broker, look, we don't have this met yet, but we are working on it. We are going to have that completed within a couple of months. And so there was an exchange of email documenting that and said, okay, as long as you do have that configured by a certain date, we'll go ahead and cover you. Cybersecurity insurance and cybersecurity in general is just, in my view, becoming more and more prominent in medium-sized businesses, and then that's going to drift to small businesses, I think. Have fun that. So let's see. Looking for question marks in orange. Here's orange. See above comment. Lawn Dog, you have a lot of above comments. So the immediately above, but Alex not interested in security. Definitely available Leo's website. Doug, would you agree that technicians like Alex should be turning into security now just to keep sharp on what's going on? Not really. Yeah, sort of, a little bit. Of course, you can always watch the recordings. I believe they're on YouTube. Any technician should be security, at least security aware. Actually working in InfoSec, information technology security, it's a very different environment than what Alex has declared his interest is. He's more interested.
I consider myself security aware, definitely. I just don't want to be in the actual field of actual cybersecurity.
Yeah.
Like my cybersecurity instructor that I had, he's got a full-on master's or doctorate or whatever in cybersecurity. So he was a tough instructor for that.
And if you're actually working in the IT department of a large corporation and you're in the security division of the IT department, it could be your job to check on the management software that you have to be sure all the computers are successful with the more recent updates. You might be having to run the tests for when the new updates come out. You might have to be on the insiders program and launch all the different programs that the people in your office use and test printing and test sharing files between these certain apps. You might have a whole checklist of things that you have to go through and make sure these things are okay. And then next week you do the same thing over again. You could be stuck in a very monotonous, boring, routine job if you're a entry-level technician in the security department of the IT department in a large corporation. Is that kind of where you're?
I'd rather do customer service. I think I found a job that I applied for Friday, that I interviewed for Friday, that it's gonna be customer service, mostly remote, but I'll be able to go in when needed. But so that'll be IT support. I'll be the person in between the end users and the IT department, the liaison or whatever that person is called.
Yeah, and that's a role that takes a person, a personality, a character that is not always commonplace among IT technicians. So it's a very valuable thing. Valuable thing in my mind. I'm not sure that it commands as much as high level incomes as security researchers. Now, I'm not talking about the low level security person who's testing all the apps against an update, but the security researchers, which this is an area that I'm fascinated with, is doing the stuff like what we've kind of explored a little bit, taking process manager and process monitor and looking at what is the computer doing right now, what's it working on, what is that file, what is it, what in watching process monitor, where you see the millisecond by millisecond things that the processor is doing, trying to reverse engineer that and figure out, is this a bad guy, is this a malware? That is fascinating to me, but I can't imagine doing that day after day after day. So yeah, I wouldn't go there, but it's interesting.
The only security incident that I've had recently is I saw something on our router, connected to our router, that said OpenWRT, which is the name of a router firmware. So I thought someone had somehow figured out our wireless password, connected a bridge to our wireless, and it was using our wireless to use the internet without my knowledge. But I didn't know the thing about it. I didn't notice haven't been noticing any slowdowns. So I finally went on, had to figure out what it was. So I finally opened up Wireshark through the IP address of whatever my router said was that OpenWRT, and turns out it was actually one of our security cameras.
Ah, okay.
Nobody had done anything. It's just one of our security cameras with the weird name that the router automatically assigned for whatever reason.
All right. I have used Wireshark in the 40 station office that we've been talking about when there were network utilization troubles where I suspected a computer in the office had malware and was putting out a lot of garbage on the network. So I've used it to try to track down what computer was spamming the network. And I have used Wireshark for some other things. Now, this office, the two offices that are increasing security, I'll call financial services office and the attorney's office. The attorney's office is the one that you saw there, 4 servers. So we're going to be implementing tight security for them. The financial services office, we're on the tail end of implementing theirs. So I am going to be the security department for them. I am going to be having to check up on the logs to see what's going on through their network traffic and be noticing unusual activities. So I am going to have a little bit of exposure in that arena, and I'm kind of looking forward to that. There's a person other than Mike Smith that is also involved in a consultancy capacity there and somewhat of a mentoring capacity for me. And he's a person that operates on the level where he's had FBI, CIA, Secret Service come to him for assistance on security issues. He's kind of at that really high level, but he's a personal friend of my client. So I have very privileged access to him.
I'll tell you, when I was working on the college network we had set up, or that I had set up, I had those machines that I had control over tied down tighter than the actual college IT department had their machines tied down.
Yeah. Coming back here, let's see, there's that. Yeah, it jumped on me again. Looking for question marks and orange. Question mark. You said that very well, Doug. That's all kind of want to convey and agree with you 100%. It's so hard to put thoughts into words. You just did a great example. Thank you. Now, if you're in security business, absolutely. Just as a side note, supposedly NSA watches Steve Gibson's show. Well, I'm sure individuals within NSA do. Alex, that's a great bit of diagnostics. You did a good job. I knew that you had the abilities to reason how to narrow down the usage of the router. Great job. By the way, they didn't teach us any of that when I was in school. But over time, you kind of figure out something fishy going on that hopefully you have the drive to figure it out.
That was all part of my advanced networking hardware class, like the last capstone big class I had to do before I graduated. And I had to write a whole paper and do a bunch of Wireshark captures and all that.
Yeah. Wireshark, I've worked with it in intense phases here and there, and over all of my experiences, I realized that there's a lot I don't know about how to use it. It's fascinating. I better not get started on that, because Alex, if you and I start on that, we're gonna lose everybody.
I don't know that much about it myself. I just know enough how to filter the traffic for that one IP, and that's not very hard.
Yeah, and the way the filtering tasks in Wireshark is kind of similar idea to the filtering that you can do in Process Monitor. Yeah, Process Monitor. The other one is Process Explorer. Yeah, Process Monitor is the one that we would do the filtering. Then let's see. Unfortunately, scan logs for anomalies can be tedious or impossible unless you have a commercial product for doing that. There are just too many entries. Yeah, I think I would be using some kind of tools for it, and part of it would be just becoming aware of how much volume of traffic there should be during certain types of workloads. You know, what's interesting to hear on security now is the communications of the highly specialized, let's call them network engineers, and how they share information amongst themselves when they funny business, how they get down. I agree, Doug. Wireshark is an interesting tool. I only know the very basics, only enough to use it, see if there's funny business going on. Yeah, one thing that I stumbled across, I don't know if it's still, I don't think that it's still going to be happening with current email products, but somewhere back in time with a particular email client, I could actually see the body of the email message in Wireshark that somebody was sending because an email client was not encrypting the email at that point in time. All right, as my voice breaks, I'm 13 years old.
I got a couple.
Yeah, go ahead.
Number one, my granddaughter, she's got to work 36 hours at the hospital last week. She's living in my house 20 miles north of Tampa. She works at Tampa Hospital. But we lost electric generators to come on like less than a second. They've been on with all that. We only lost for about half a day. But the internet's been down for 2 days, so she's been running off of Starlink off the boat, and we're getting 300. But the neat thing is, I was on the beta program for last year with the boat. That's why I've been talking about it. FCC has a big deal about having mobile internet because you could use it in your car, and they don't want you doing that. And they want $5,000 a month now for 300 megabits.
Oh, now wait
Yes.
a minute. I just looked at Starlink yesterday. One of my brothers is
This is intercoastal, though. You know, you go across, navigate the globe on this one. This isn't in the land. This is on the water.
Okay.
So no, we're actually running a cable from the boat to the house. And she hasn't lost internet at all.
Oh, okay.
They put up new satellites besides the ones that are for land. These are actually circumventing over the water, or well, the water, they're stationary, but
Yeah.
But she took our boat and she went to the Caymans over her 2-week vacation. Well, almost she went down past Cuba with her boyfriend. And she had internet the whole way.
They had internet the whole way.
Yep.
But now, so I'm at some point there, you said FCC doesn't want mobile communications. You said something about an outrageously high price tag.
Yes. If you go to Starlink for coastal waters, it's like $5,000 a month for two terminals, basically.
But she wasn't using that, was she? Was she?
No, well, yes, that is what we're using, but we're on beta for free for the past year.
You're on beta for free. Okay.
Now they want money. We're off it now.
Oh.
No, I'm not paying that. No.
No, yeah, too much. But here I want to see if you know something else about this. So my nephew, it was I told you before that we have every Friday evening Zoom session between my brothers and one of my nephews is in on that. My nephew is in New Mexico in a pretty rural area. His wired internet is 5 megabits down and 1 megabit up. And so he's contemplating whether Starlink would be a solution for him, and his research, and I think mine agrees, is that Starlink can advertise and claim a certain speed, but what people are actually seem to be finding is that if there's traffic in their area where they're sharing satellites, you can be much slower, and it's kind of common. It's slower, and yeah, Selden Ball mentioning Starlink for RVs. We watched a video together last night, kind of scrubbed through it, of an RVer who was testing it, the Starlink for RVs, and he showed how the setup was and his speeds. He was very, very disappointed in the speeds that he was actually getting, far lower than what Starlink told him he would get. And then he found that, and that was a speed test one evening. And then the next morning, it was way higher, much, much better. And then he said that it's his understanding from his research that it said that his unit will likely get better over a period of a couple weeks. And we kind of deduced, or I kind of deduced, that this thing automatically shifts to find satellites. It's auto rotating or movement. And so I'm figuring, well, maybe it picked satellites at first and it pays attention to how well that does. And the next day it'll try some other satellites and it'll find the ones that work best. I don't know. Sounds a little hinky, but go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say that's exactly what it's doing on the boat.
That's what it's
So,
doing on the boat. Okay.
Yeah, but what she's been using it. I mean, I haven't been down there all summer because of my wife, but she, she goes out when their days off. She's a resident now, her first year. She's so excited.
In my research for remote jobs, 99.99% of all the remote jobs I found, they specifically disallow hotspots on phones, HughesNet, Viasat, satellite internet, and they say the only internet they want you to use is hardwired cable DSL or fiber optic line. Does that also eliminate the ability to use a Starlink? Because Starlink is supposed to be a whole lot faster.
Yeah, that would definitely eliminate that, because I'm sure what they're after there is that any form of wireless has more vulnerabilities than wired, because there's no wire.
You guys are talking about security, and I mean, especially you, Doug, because you've been dealing with a lot of clients. The bigger the companies you get, I mean, I used to work insurance, health insurance. I mean, I retired from there, and 2018-19. My biggest worry was not what was happening to 50,000 computers. We had over 150,000 IP addresses internally all around the country. My concern greatly was what's happening to you calling in on the phone and getting the wrong clerk. You could say, I mean, they'd give out information. You'd hire a clerk to make 35 grand a year, and they'd give out, God knows what they'd give out. You're Dr. Jones, and if you had the right, tax ID number, the clerk would say, sure, Joe's been treated with you and has a broken arm, but he had a broken arm before, so, blah, blah, blah. You'd walk by a desk and, but that's not your client. Why are you talking?
Yeah, I think I hear you there, Gary, that the human vulnerabilities, social engineering, a phone call coming into somebody, and what if they're not trained, I don't know any of my clients that even do cursory security training with their staff. That's got to change.
Well, one of the things that even here, and we're manufacturing, we do some, I shouldn't say retail, but we sell some high-end products to performance enthusiasts in the $30,000 range. Or you're maybe even 50 to 60 for your Mustang or something. And somebody will call in for help and they didn't buy the product. They tried to piece it together, and they'll get to our tech people, and you'll have some guy spend 8 hours with them before he finds out he's not a customer of ours, because we haven't educated the right tech the right amount. You get to the right person who's new enough. They don't actually understand what they're trying to be helpful and be a good employee, but they're, gave away their day. And that's not computer security, but oh gosh, we've had people with our help desk, even computer help desk, calling from outside. We found out they'll call reception and they'll say, hey, you answer, this is Sue at so-and-so. And they'll say, Sue, what's the help desk number again? The one I get is the old one, and they'll say a close number. She'll give the help desk number, and you get somebody, oh, my boss is waiting, blah, 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 blah. We've actually had people try to call and get our account numbers to send a direct deposit to us, a bank wire. And another one we had, this one came by recently, and I actually heard about it walking by a desk by mistake. Somebody had sent us a check for $10,000 to pay for a small order, industrial order. Fasteners, as a matter of fact, it's a $4,000 order. They sent us 10 grand, round figures. They wanted us to wire them $6,000. That's the old fake check thing.
Oh, right.
What it is the clerk's taking it down, and it was a different invoice. Had nothing to do with the person. They didn't know. So, I mean, hey, I mean, I'm worried about that. But I mean, even we got a lot of things that people get into. I mean, you're talking about security testing. It's not so much the whole network, but tax ID, bank account numbers. I mean, every customer that we have their bank account number because they're sending us stuff from their bank account. Every company we send money to, you have the wrong person. Oh, what's for accounts payable? What's accounts receivable? Bank. I mean, we get to our company, we probably get 5 checks a day. The rest goes straight to the bank. I have, on a personal level, I have rental property and I have some farm stuff. I don't get a check. I probably don't get 2 checks a week personally. All goes to the bank. They send me a list every day of what I get. And that's how it gets entered in our receivables electronically. So, I mean, it's more worried about what people are, calling and talking more than the computer. I mean, I'll give you half my passwords, just not the ones you need.
Your comments there about what people will do made me realize that I haven't told you this other piece. The financial services company that we're on the tail end of increasing their security implementation, we're going to be doing an annual penetration testing. Not we're going to be doing it. We have to hire somebody else to do it.
Definitely.
So we're going to be, I'm going to be involved with that now. So the penetration testing, their objective is to penetrate the network, and they're usually successful. And then they will be advising us what we need to do to close that hole that they discovered. And the reason why I say they're usually successful is because I listen to podcasts and interviews with people who work in the field of penetration testing. And the other advisor that I have with the financial services company, he does penetration testing, and he says he always gets in, always finds a way in. Now, one of the things that they do in some penetration testing is physical on-site testing, and they're trying to gain access to a secured building, where they have ID cards and things like that, and they'll phony up ID cards, or they'll social engineer somebody at the back door where people are going out for a smoke break, and they get in and they try to gain access to the network and so on, and they're usually successful, which is disturbing. But what that does is that drives training. They show their successes to the company, and the company learns where to firm up their security. And even with all of that work, the bad guys still will gain access. So I got an alarm going off. I've got to get off of live stream. Alexa, add 15 minutes to the timer.
15 minutes added to the timer.
Yeah.
Well, I had one more quick one for you, which goes back to basically just what you just said. Except understand, just like we're doing a lot of work with electronics, computers on cars. Well, I mean, that's where we're going. Every microcontroller, every controller, and you name the company we're dealing with on the electronics side, on the computer side, we know how to turn it off on another chip. We can get into Intel's chip and turn off TPM and get into your box. I mean, they actually show you how to do that.
Yeah.
So it's not hard to do if you're in with them. I mean, we're dealing with some controllers. It's one of the things now that SAE is looking at Rust as a new language of choice, because C is too hard and C++ is too hard for new people. So we're gonna look at Rust. One of our clients likes Rust. Isn't that a cool thing?
Okay.
But anyway, I'm gonna take off too.
All right.
Good night, guys. Goodbye. Have fun.
All right. Thank you. For you guys that are in the Zoom with me, I'd like to ask you to say goodbye to the crowd. Audibly, preferably.
Bye, Doug. Bye,
Helps if I
everybody.
unmute myself. Good night, John Boy.
Teeth.
So long, everybody.
All right. Thanks for hanging out. All right. I'm clicking out of Zoom. I'll punch
If I unmute myself.
button over here. So thank you for hanging out with us, whether you've been in the chat room or just watching without talking in the chat. Those of you on the Zoom. There's my email address if you'd like to send a request or suggestion for a topic or a request for me to do a remote session with you and record it and upload it or do it in a live stream. Those are the kinds of things that I'd really like that address to be used for. And I've read up on the comments. I'm gonna not read those out because I think we've covered enough here. All right. Have a great weekend. I hope that was useful and have a great day. Catch you later. Goodbye. Figure out what button to click.